Hey ghosts, it seems you have no-clipped out of the bounds of reality and into a new world. We'd like to welcome you to the Backrooms, an alternate dimension where the laws of physics cease to apply. Many other people, just like you, are stuck here. You're currently in what we refer to as Level 0. If this area unsettles you, I'm afraid this is only the beginning. So what you just saw is my own contribution to the Backrooms. I'm not in the community, but I'm a little fascinated by it. Enough to create an entire video on the subject and get involved in the lore. As we saw from the invention of Graggle Simpson or people telling their kids that this is them as a baby, the internet likes to invent things. And now the internet has invented a thing called the Backrooms. The funny thing is that at my parents' house, we actually do have a room called the back room. It's where we would keep stuff that didn't belong in other rooms. So in the 90s and noughties, it was where we put our computer and our video games. Are we the creators of this lore? Did my family invent the back rooms? The Backrooms is a hypothetical alternate dimension or parallel universe that is said to exist behind the walls of various buildings, such as office buildings or shopping malls. According to the legend, the Backrooms are a vast, endless maze of corridors and rooms that are filled with strange and unexplained phenomena. The unexplained phenomena is not just dated computer equipment, which features heavily in these rooms. Some versions of the legend also claim that the Backrooms are inhabited by strange creatures or entities. And once you find yourself in the Backrooms, they say there's no way out. You just have to keep exploring. Okay, maybe the Backrooms community can explain this, but how do we get footage of the Backrooms if no one has ever made it out? Are people posting videos and photos for clout instead of asking for help? Does sound like the 2020s. The origins of the legend of the Backrooms are pretty much unknown, and I'm not about to dox my parents. Basically, this legend has been around for a few years without a clear origin. The images that we have can be traced to around 2019, but the story around it goes back further. Some suggest that it first appeared on the early days of the internet on message boards and forums. Users would share stories and rumours about strange, unexplained places that were said to exist behind the walls of various buildings. One theory is that the legend started from an old creepypasta. If you don't know what a creepypasta is, then you're probably not sure what you're doing watching this entire video right now, but it's a type of spooky story. Another theory is that it originated from a fan-made game called MFR, but we're not really sure, and I'm convinced that the mystery around the origins of the Backrooms is by design in order to enhance the folklore of the Backrooms. I first discovered the Backrooms because a friend told me about it in person. I stress that this was in person because if it was a link or a message, that would maybe explain why I started seeing Backrooms videos on TikTok. But since it was in person, there's no explanation as to why it came up for me on TikTok. Other than I already interact with a lot of wild internet folklore, so maybe it was just feeding me more. I saw this video come up on my For You page. I'm so used to saying the word YouTube that I nearly said For YouTube page. I saw this video come up on my For You page and I instantly knew that it was connected to the Backrooms. Well, I suppose everything's connected to the Backrooms. Hello? And there's loads of really creative media exploring these Backrooms. I'm quite impressed that people will go to this level of effort to keep up a folktale. I think a lot of the photographs are of abandoned eerie buildings, but the videos we're looking at are extensive and complex. This would take so much time to animate and to make look realistic. And there's a global crisis in the animation and visual effects world right now because every movie out there at the moment needs some sort of visual effects. And it takes so much time to do that companies out there are competing for a disproportionately low amount of money in order to create the effects. And this system is completely crushing animation and visual effects houses at the moment. And here's some kids in their bedrooms making Backrooms. There are so many levels, you could never cover them all. And as you go deeper, the rooms look more different and the lore gets more intense. So level 0 is this yellowish space. That's where I've seen most Backrooms content. Level 1 then looks like the back of a shopping mall as I know it. I swear I've taken deliveries of stock in this place. Anyway, level 1 has entities lurking in it, including dullers, adult facelings, hounds, skin stealers, and scratchers. So, types of customers that lost their way. This is just retail. I think the overall feel of this universe is supposed to be familiar and unsettling at the same time. But in a space where you can create anything, someone decided to invent level 27, where nothing lives and it's just a lot of wood. Maybe Scotland is just such a nasty ass place that I don't find this unsettling. This is what my school used to look like. I think one of my favourites is level 37. Just look at the design and the light and all the detail that's gone into this. There's a level that's called Run for Your Life, and it's a red hallway and you run for your life and things are chasing you. Feels very much like the end of a retail shift to me. There's a level that's called The End, but it's a trap level meant to mislead wanderers into thinking they've escaped the backrooms. It would maybe help the lore if when I clicked to download this image, it didn't come up and say, Borders, the end is near, revealing that this is just a photograph of a Borders bookstore. Retail! The Backrooms is a metaphor for people being trapped in a miserable retail job, and everybody's into it. I think it's kind of cool that the internet has its own folklore. There's folklore dating back centuries from all over the world, so why not get creative with the world as it is now? Folklore is useful to wrap up lessons of morality in an easy to understand and enjoyable format. It's also entertaining and it lets us think about different realities to our own. And I'm interested in this as a premise to the Backrooms. Is it a tale designed to help us navigate real life? Is it entertainment? Or is it both? As I discovered from looking at the levels, it reminds me of a lot of dull, uninspired, miserable spaces from the real world. Or the front rooms, as some people call it. And I also think the intrigue comes from something familiar that feels slightly different. The term liminal space refers to a transitional space, where we're usually going from one place to another and we have to pass through that space, like a stairway or an elevator. And with liminal spaces, spending more time in them than usual or being in them at an unusual time of day can feel creepy. I think this is the feeling that we're tapping into in the Backrooms. Seeing what looks like an office or a storage area or a public place completely empty feels eerie. Something that we all saw from behind our screens at home when we were all ordered to stay indoors by our authorities. On top of that, these places feel a little dated and kind of dangerous. Much like when the Victorian era just became scary. Well, if you're not from Britain, then like the 1800s became scary. This is happening to the 20th century. The fluorescent tubes, the faded wallpaper, the stained carpet, it makes you feel sad. People who lived and worked in these spaces at the time of their glory days thought that things were getting better. Plastics are the future. Consumerism is finally for everyone. Being in the space as a modern person feels like you are looking at an ideology that fundamentally went wrong. So there's something kind of voyeuristic about it. There's something unsettling about being in the space. But there's also a feeling of control by writing the narrative of these spaces. And reading about them has the same entertainment value as a horror movie or a scary game. I've been saying this a lot in different videos, but the nervous system that activates when you're scared is the same parts of your nervous system that activates when you're excited. Those two emotions are actually very close to each other, and that's why some people really enjoy horror or being scared. It feels exciting, more exciting than life sometimes. Is there a tale of morality wrapped up in the Backrooms? Considering my last video was about eating the rich, I am not going to bleat on about this too much. But it didn't take long for me to make some comparisons. You're trapped in a liminal space. There's no way out. There's all these entities that you're running from. You were forced into it. You didn't choose. There's different levels. You have no idea what they mean. You're encouraged to explore, but it could lead you down any dark path. Honestly, I think I could take any story and explore how it's about capitalism. Maybe I should start a series. What story can I ruin next? But funnily enough, off the back of last week's video, I was recommended to watch Alice in Borderland, and I started and I really enjoy it. and I am seeing so many similarities in that series to the Backrooms. And I think it touches on some of the things that I've already been talking about in media recently. But what do you think? Are you intrigued by the Backrooms, or are you steering clear? And maybe check. Does your house have a backroom? I need to check on my parents. See you next time.